Hey guys, welcome to Wear Rosie's tutorial video. On this video, we'll be learning how to draft, cut and sew this beautiful jumpsuit. So this tutorial is beginner friendly. If you're a beginner, if you've not made a jumpsuit before, if your jumpsuit's crotch doesn't sit perfectly, then this tutorial is for you. So the first thing you're going to be doing is I'll be drafting out the trouser part of this jumpsuit first, right? So to get the trouser length of your jumpsuit, what you just need to do is to get the full length of your jumpsuit minus the half length. That's what is going to give you your trouser, right? The length of the trouser part. So I'm removing 21 inches, which is the half length that I'm working with. And now I want to draft out the trouser part. So now I'm going to be putting out my horizontal measurements, right? So from my waistline, the distance from my waist to my hip is 6 inches. I've marked it. Then I marked the crotch, which is 11 inches. Then to get your lap line is 3 inches below your crotch line. So if your crotch line is 11 inches, your lap line is going to be 11 plus 3, that's 14 inches. So now then you mark out your length of your trouser. So when you've marked out the length of your trouser, the distance from your lap line to the length of your trouser, whatever you get, you divide it by 2. Right? Whatever you get is going to give you your knee line. So if the distance from your lap line to the length of your trouser is 20, divided by 2, 10. That means 10, that's where you're going to mark your knee line. Hope we understand. So I've marked out all my horizontal measurements now. It's time for me to impute the vertical measurement. Please hope you understand. The first line is your waist line. The second one is your hip line. The third one is your crotch line. The fourth one, your lap line. The fifth one, your knee line. And then the last one is the length of your trouser. These are the first lines you will mark out first whenever you want to draft out your trouser measurements. Please hope you understand. I'm so sorry that the camera didn't get the last part of this trouser, but I'll try my best to explain it further, right? So now to get our vertical measurements, we're going to divide our hip line by 4. Your hip divided by 4. Whatever you get, you mark it out. And then you mark it out to touch both your crotch line, your hip line, and your waist line, as you can see in this video. So your hip divided by 4. Whatever you get, you mark it like so. You mark just a straight vertical line to touch your waist line, your hip line, and your crotch line. Hope you got it. So now that's measurement we got. Now your hip divided by 4. Let's say, for example, your hip is 20 divided by 4 is 5, right? Then you now say 5 divided by 4 again. Okay, so your hip line divided by 4 divided by 4 again. That's what's going to give you your crotch extension. So whatever you get, you use it to extend your crotch line, right? Then on your hip line, you come out by half an inch and you connect your crotch line like so in the picture, in the video. Please hope you understand this part. The first step is to mark out your hip line, your hip measurement divided by 4. You mark it vertically to your hip line, your crotch line, and your waistline. Then to extend your crotch line, you do your hip line, whatever you get divided by 4, divide it again by 4. Then you extend your hip line, your crotch line. Then on your hip line, you come out by half an inch and connect your crotch line from your waist down to the crotch line to get your crotch curve. Then on the other side, you mark out your waist correct measurement. Now on your crotch line, you measure out your crotch line. We want to get the middle of this trouser now. You measure out your crotch line. Whatever you get, you divide it by 2. So if your complete crotch line is 16, divided by 2 is 8. That's what's going to give you the midpoint of your trouser, right? Then you mark out a straight line. Now you ask me, why are we getting the midpoint of our trouser? So that we'll be able to impute our measurements and they will sit perfectly, right? So that our measurements will sit perfectly. So now we've gotten the straight line. That's the middle of this trouser, of the highest measurement of this trouser. Let's use it, the midpoint. Now we'll impute our measurements. Now on our lap, we'll divide our lap by 2. We divide the knee line by 2. We divide your ankle, that's the length of your trouser, by 2, right? So from your waist to your hip, to your crotch, you divide by 4. but from your lap to your knee and then to your ankle, you divide by 2. Now you impute your measurements. Now let's say the lap we're working with is 20, right? Divided by 2 is 10. So you place your tape rule, the tape rule in the middle of that line. Mark out 5 on your right and 5 on your left. It will give you 10. You see why we marked a midpoint line, so that it will give us direction when we are imputing our measurements on our trouser. So that's what you will do for your lap line, your knee line, and then your ankle line. When you're done imputing your measurements, then you connect your lines, right? So I hope this explanation is understandable. Please, but if you have any question, drop it on the comment section. I'll try my best to explain further. I also have another video on how to draft a trouser, but I decided to make another one so that we'll understand it better, right? So when we're done drafting it, we'll connect our lines. This is how to cut the front pattern of your trouser. Even if you want to cut a knicker, a short knicker, this is how to cut the front pattern of your knicker or your trouser, right? So for the purpose of this tutorial, we're not making a pocket. The client doesn't want a pocket, so I'm just going to cut out my pattern like so. You see, I'm connecting my lines. Now if you're not good with making perfect straight lines, please just connect your lines with a ruler, right? So let's cut out our measurements now for the front part of our trouser, because we're going to use the front part of our trouser to cut out the back part of our trouser, right? Please just watch the video and you will understand. The first line is your waistline, the second one your hip line, the third one is your crotch line, your crotch length, the fourth one is your lap line, 3 inches below your crotch line. Then you mark out your length of your trouser, right? When you mark out the length of your trouser, the distance from your lap line to the length of your trouser, you divide it by 2. That's what is going to give you your knee line. When you get your knee line, then it's time to impute your vertical measurement. You divide your hip line by 4. Whatever you get, you mark it out, right? Then you connect whatever you get. I said, for example, if your hip line is 20, divided by 4 is 5, right? Then you mark it on your waistline, your hip line, and your crotch line. Just mark a straight line. Do you get? Then to extend your crotch line, to get that crotch shape, right? You do that 5 you got divided by 4, right? Whatever you get, that's what you use to extend your crotch line. Then when you extend your crotch line, on your hip line, you come out by 1/2 inch, and then you connect the lines to create that crotch curve, and then you connect it to your waistline like so. Then on the other part of your pattern, you now impute your correct waistline measurements. So now I'm going to impute my dart leg. So I always use the bust span of my clients. The bust span of my client is 8 inches, 10, right? So I'm going to do the dart leg to be 5. 10 divided by 2, 5. Please hope this explanation is understandable, right? So this is the front pattern of our trouser. You can use this pattern to cut a dicker. You can use it to cut anything. So now I want to use the front pattern to cut out the back pattern. The difference between the front and the back pattern is the crotch length and then the waist, the back waist. So on the crotch length, I'm going to extend the crotch length by 2 inches. So sorry for this video. The person making this video was just misbehaving. So sorry guys. Please, I hope you understand this. So on my waistline, I'm going to go up by 2 inches. Can you see? On my waistline, I went up by 2 inches, and then I'm going to connect it like a slope down to the base of my waistline. Please just watch the video. First of all, you extend your crotch line by 2 inches, and then you join it. Can you see? You extend your crotch line by 2 inches, and then you connect it to your front area. Then you increase the height of your waist at the back by 2 inches. Do you see how I increased it? And then connect it back slope like slantly to the other edge of your waistline. Please Remember, I added allowance to this measurement. So when you're cutting your front piece, add your allowance to your front piece, right? So that when you're cutting your back piece, the only difference you will add is the crotch extension and then the back part that is going higher. So when you're done marking that, the other parts are the same thing. You just trace it out like I'm doing on this video. So this is how to cut out your front and your back part. If you look at this pattern, you will see that the back part, the difference is the crotch extension. I extended it by 2 inches and then went up by 2 inches. Now you ask me, why did I extend it? We are extending it because of your butt area, so that you can be able to sit down, to run, to walk. You can be comfortable in your trouser. Then why are we extending the upper part by 2 inches? So that when you sit down, your butt will not be showing, right? Your back, the back part, your back area will be covered. Your trouser will look modest, right? That's why we're doing it. If you feel you don't want to increase the height of yours, you experiment. Don't add 2 inches to yours. You see that your trouser will be a low waist, right? It won't cover your butt area very well. So guys, this is how to draft out the front pattern and the back pattern of your trouser. I hope this is very explanatory. Now we're going to still notch out our dart legs on the front part of the trouser. Now we'll be cutting out the upper bodice of this jumpsuit. Now I want us to know that this upper part of our jumpsuit, I'm going to be cutting it like a bodice, because the client doesn't want a princess dart bustier. She just wants a simple bodice, right? So now, even working with these bodies, I want to put band on this jumpsuit. Most times I prefer putting band on jumpsuits instead of just making the bodies plain, right? So now I'm going to make the band to be 2 inches. So I'm cutting the upper bodies to be 19. 19 plus 2 will give you 21, right? So now I'm cutting my upper bodies. So I'm going to take my normal measurement for a bodice. There is a video on my channel that will show you how to draft out a simple bodice. So you can watch it so that you understand. So I'll just mark out my shoulder. The shoulder is 16 divided by 2 is 8. I'll mark it out. Then I'm going to mark down my shoulder slope by 1 inches and then connect it to my shoulder area, to my neckline. Then I'm going to mark out my armhole area. My armhole area is going to be 9 inches. Then on that armhole area, I'm going to impute my bust measurement and waist measurement. Please guys, if not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please click on the subscription button. It's free. I upload tutorials every day. Yes, every day. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And my videos are beginner friendly, most of them. You can understand it and you can ask your questions if you're confused. So I've imputed my measurement, and before you impute your measurement, always remember to add your allowance. Yes, always remember to add your allowance. Most times, adding our allowance, you can choose to use 1.5 inch or 2 inches, depends on your preference as a designer, right? The most important thing is that you get the perfect measurement of your client. I always tell students or beginners or people that even sew, it's better your measurements are in excess than is in shortage. If your measurement is in excess, you can easily cut it. Do you understand? Cut out the excess. But if it is in shortage, you will start patching your client's works and it doesn't look nice, right? So please take accurate measurements of your client. If you don't know how to take accurate measurements of your client, I have a video on my YouTube channel that you see how to take accurate measurements for trouser, for bodies, just full complete measurements. So back to our video, guys. So now the client wants a v-neck, and so we are going to be making a v-neck. Now the depth of your v-neck depends on your client, right? You can make it to be very deep or shallow deep, depends on you and your client. So I've drafted out the upper part of my bodice, the front part, and then I'm just going to trace out my measurement like so, right? So I'm just cutting directly on my fabric because it's a bodice, it's not a princess dart bustier or anything. But if you're a beginner, I will advise that you first of all cut on your pattern paper. so that in case you make a mistake, you make that mistake on your pattern paper before you transfer to your fabric. So this is the front part of my bodice. I'm marking out my dart leg, which is 5 inches, and then I will just notch it, right? Always remember to notch your dart leg so that you will remember, especially if you're working with fabric that are just very slippery. You get? Always remember to notch your dart legs where you're supposed to put your darts. Okay, so this is for the front bodice. So we're just going to use the front bodice to make the back bodice. The difference between both of them is the depth of the back neck. So since the front neck is deep, the back neck won't be deeper. It's going to be just, I'm going to dip the back neck by either 1 inch or 2 inches, right? Because I'm cutting the front depth. I'm making a v-necked jumpsuit. So I cut it with I dipped the neck by 7 inches. If you don't know how to make a v-neck, watch the video to the end. I also have a video that will show you how to draft different types of neckline. So you should watch it on my YouTube channel. So I've cut out the neck. I'm just going to use this front bodice to cut out the back. As I was saying, the difference between the front and the back is just the zip allowance area, right? Because this jumpsuit, we're going to be using a zip, so we're going to create our zip allowance area, right? So you just place your front on top of your pattern or your material for the back, and then you trace out. Now for the neck area, you can decide to come down by 2 inches, 3 inches, depend on how high you want your neck, the back of your neck design to look like. Then every other part, you just trace it out. Okay, so that's just what I'm doing. I came down by 2 inches for the neck part because the front part is already deep, right? And then I'm just going to trace it out on my material like so. So this is how I'm going to draft it out. Now for the sewing of this material, if you watch, you see that this material is very, very light, right? So because it's very light, you shouldn't use a lining, right? So what I'm going to use to turn this material is a bridal satin. So this is just to teach us that if you're working with a very slippery material, especially if your client wants you to line their outfits, okay, always use something that will make the material to be firm, especially, and it will make it easy for you to work with. If you're a beginner, I think you should always work with materials that are not so soft. Yes, that will give you hard time, right? But if you're already an advanced, right, that you can work with all these material, I think you should interface them with a bridal satin. So I used a bridal satin to make this material to be thicker because it was too light. It was very light. Okay, so now I'm done cutting out the front. The next thing I'm going to do is to cut out the bridal satin for both the front and the back. Always remember to notch where your zipper allowance is going to start from, both on top and at the bottom, and notch your dart leg for the back. Now I'm going to cut out my bridal satin for both the front and the back, even the trouser part, because for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to be covering every part of this jumpsuit. Okay, so I'm done cutting out the front. So I'm showing all the process so that even if you're a beginner, you will understand and see how it works and see how it is. So I've joined my bridal satin. Can you see? I've joined my bridal satin to the dress. I've turned the neck. Can you see how beautiful it looks? Can you see how neat it looks? And something else I want to show us, I added a band. Yes. Can you see the dart that I did? Can you see that the dart is inside? Do you get? I turned it. I want us to see something else. When you're making a fabric or an outfit that has pattern, always follow the pattern whenever you're cutting. If you're cutting in a horizontal form, follow the pattern and cut in a horizontal form for every part. Okay? So this is the front. I've joined the dart. I've turned the bridal satin to the dress. Can you see? I've closed the crotch area of the front and both the back. Now the next thing I'm going to do now is to join the pieces. Join the half length to the trouser part. Okay? So when you're done, then you fix your zip. Now I wanted to show you how to enclose your zip to make it look neat, right? So see how you're going to do it. Just fold it inside, as you can see, and just sew the tip like this. Okay, when you do it like that, you see I've already done one. You see how it looks? Very neat, very neat. So this is how to close the edge of your zipper when you fixed your zip. So I'm done fixing my zip on this dress. I'm done joining the upper part and the lower part. I'm done fixing the zip. Can you see? Now I also want to teach us something. Whenever you're fixing a band in a dress, make sure the band they align. Can you see? Make sure the lines of the band are aligned. That's what shows that you're doing a neat work, that your finishing is nice, and you know what you're doing as a designer, right? So now it's time for us to join the shoulders. Now I just made a straight stitch on the shoulder area. Can you see? To just hold the front lining and the material. So now I'm going to turn. Can you see? I'm using the back piece to turn on the front piece of the shoulder, right? I opened it up, and I'm just going to sew it through like so. So this is how to join your shoulder if you want it to look neat, a neat finishing. So we're actually working on a neat finishing. So this is how to join your shoulder, right? You use the back part to enclose the front part, and when you sew it straight, this is how it will look. Can you see the back? I just used a pin to show you how it's meant to look. See, this is how it's going to look. So now I'll take it to my machine and then sew it down, right? So when I sew it down, this is how it looks. And then the first thing we are going to do in joining the bottom part is to join the inseam. That's that crotch part, the inner part of your crotch. You join it. So you get your pin and pin the front and the back together, right? So when you're done pinning it, then you join it. After joining it, you join the sides of your jumpsuit. Can you see our jumpsuit is coming out good? Can you see how neat our jumpsuit is looking? Can you see that we're following the pattern? I cut it with the pattern. Can you see everything is straight? Not one side is straight, the other part is zigzag. Do you get? So always follow the pattern. Now it's time for us to cut the sleeves of this dress. Guys, we're almost done with this beautiful outfit. Now the first step is to measure out our sleeve, right? Now most people, when they want to measure a curvy area, they just place their tape flat. No, you don't place your tape flat. You place it like so, right? You place your tape like so. Instead of placing it straight flat, you won't get the same measurement. So place your pattern in a curvy area, standing like so, and then you get your perfect measurement. So now the length of the sleeve I'm working with is 22, but I made it 24 because I'm going to be folding the bottom part, right? So I got the bottom part, and then when I got the length of my sleeve, I came down by 3 inches like so, and then I just connected my line. This is just a simple freehand sleeve cutting. I learned this freehand when I was learning. But this is just a freehand cutting of sleeve, right? So I just first get the length of my sleeve, and then on the top I come down by 3 inches and connect it. Remember, I measured 13 inches for the armhole area, right? I added 5 inches allowance. I added 5 inches because I wanted to gather it, because the sleeve we're working on is kind of fluffy. Do you get? It's big. I don't know the English to use, but guys, you will see it at the end. So guys, I cut my sleeve. Can you see? 13. I added 5 inches. I cut my sleeve and I notched the center of the sleeve. So I'm going to gather the upper part of the sleeve. See, I've gathered it like so. And then I'm going to fix it to my outfit. Always remember to notch the middle part of your sleeve. It will give you direction to know that yes, this is the part I'm going to fix directly on the shoulder area. Do you get? So the middle part that I already notched, I'm going to hold it down with my pin, and then can you see, distribute the gathers round the arm. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So this is how we're going to fix the arm, the 2 sleeves of our jumpsuit. Okay, just place it like so, and then you are going to run your stitches right round it. So when you're done running your stitches, this is how the hand of your dress will look. Can you see? Can you see how the hand of the dress looks? Can you see how lovely it looks? So I fixed elastic on that edge part. I fixed elastic on that edge part to give it this outlook. Okay, so now we're going to just close our sleeves and then come back. I'll show you how it looks. So this is the final look of this jumpsuit. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe.